With so much content being churned into the web every day, one of the biggest challenges for bloggers and marketers is how to give their content the best chance of being viewed. One of the main hooks that grabs people's attention when you promote a piece of content online is the headline. But the other main hook is to make the post really pop visually, and for that you need a killer feature image. So with such a pivotal role to play in the success of a blog post, how and where can you find the perfect image? Hi, I'm Noya. I'm all about creating standout content that helps businesses grow. And in this video, I'll talk about why visuals are so crucial to the success of blog posts in the age of content overload, and how to find the right images and use them to complement your written content. And of course, I'll share my mega list of stock photography websites, plus other cool tools that could come in really handy when you're creating images for your website. Okay, let's get to it. Since the dawn of time, humans have always been hardwired to process visuals faster than written text. We've now evolved to a point where brands and publishers are so busy competing for our limited attention, we simply have no patience for irrelevant content. So we've become skilled online scammers who can determine within split seconds whether we want to click on something or not. If we're not convinced to click on something virtually as soon as we see it, then we move on to the next item with ruthless indifference. Visuals trigger an emotional response significantly faster than text, and they often stand out more than headlines do, especially when we're in scanning mode in crowded social media feeds. So although blog posts are written in order to be read, we're far more likely to be drawn to a piece of content that appears in our social feed if it's accompanied by a captivating, head-turning image that inspires empathy, outrage, surprise, or even just an, "Ooh, that looks interesting, I wonder what that's about." Of course, the headline is also crucial, because without it, we'd have no way of knowing what the blog post is about. And I've made a whole other video about that, which I've linked to below. But if the promotional teaser for the blog post isn't accompanied by an image that's just as compelling, the post's overall click appeal is lowered, because sometimes the visual is essential to grabbing our attention long enough for us to even notice, let alone be persuaded by, the headline. Images have become far more than just visually pleasing elements scattered throughout copy-heavy blog posts. They are snackable, bite-sized pieces of content that are easy for us to digest digitally, each packing the punch of at least 1,000 words, as the famous saying goes. The feature image you choose for your post, which is usually the one that's also visible when you share it on social media, is essentially part of an ad for your post, which is why it's worth investing both time and sometimes even a little money to source the perfect image to sell your post, because that's basically what the feature image is doing. Together with a killer headline, the appeal of the feature image, or lack of it, can be the difference between someone clicking through to read your post or scrolling right past it onto something that looks more inviting. So where do you find images for your blog posts? There are 4 main options. Number 1, you can buy them from reputable stock photography sites. Number 2, you can get them for free from reputable free stock photography sites. Number 3, you can get special permission from the owner of an original image to use it in your blog and credit the source. Crediting the source is always good practice in any case. And number 4, you can photograph or create your own original images. Although the main advantage of using free photos is that they're, well, free, there are a few benefits to paying for stock photos as well, not least of which is that since they're obtained legally, you can avoid any claims of unlawful use, presuming you abide by the licensing requirements for each image you buy. Here are a few other advantages. Premium sites often have really sophisticated search functionality, which allows you to search for images based on orientation, keywords, photo versus illustration, color tone, the presence or absence of people in the photos, the type of license, and more. So even though you might pay as much as $10 or more for a feature image from a premium stock photography site, the convenience of finding exactly what you want with pinpoint precision in a fraction of the time it would take you to find it in a free stock photography site is worth the expense, especially if publishing blog posts or even promotional teasers in social media is a big part of your marketing activity. Sophisticated filtering options in premium sites also allow you to eliminate irrelevant search results and save you a lot of useless browsing time. For example, for my noyalizor.com headers, I mostly use horizontal images. So by setting the orientation to horizontal in the search filter, I can quickly eliminate all of the irrelevant vertical images. Also, sometimes I want photos that include people in them, and at other times I don't. So the people filter is also super helpful if it's available. With the free sites, although their search filters aren't nearly as sophisticated as the premium sites, they still have a huge selection of really cool images. Sometimes I can, and do, spend literally hours at a time just browsing through them like a kid in a candy store. So I've developed a system to make sure that all of that frivolous browsing time in free stock photography sites doesn't go to waste. What I do is, whenever I come across an image I absolutely love, even if I don't need it right away, I download it anyway into my own self-created image library. It's a bit like a playlist, but of images. And I file it in folders with category names or keywords or other identifiers that will make it easy for me to find them later. That way, if I ever need an image of people looking at a computer screen, or people looking frustrated, or people using smartphones, etc., my first port of call is to search through my self-created library of free images that I've handpicked and know that I'm free to use, and see if I've already got something suitable. Having access to this kind of library of images on my own computer is a huge time saver. Only if I'm still stuck will I then head online and begin a fresh search, either in paid stock photography sites if I'm pressed for time and don't mind spending a little money, or the free stock photography sites. Here are a few tips on how to choose the perfect feature image for your blog post. Sometimes it's appropriate to choose a photo that literally represents the subject of the post as closely as possible, because the image is there to support or reinforce the headline, and it needs to communicate the gist of the post in a split second. But there are certain times where choosing an image that complements the headline metaphorically is actually more intriguing and effective, because it forces readers to think about it and work out the connection to the headline of the post for themselves. Always make sure you understand the type of license associated with the images you choose, and credit the source of the images if the license requires it. If the license doesn't require crediting the source, you can leave the credit off, or add it anyway just to be nice to the photographer. Reuse your selected photos in a variety of ways throughout your post, including adding your own touch. If you've already taken the trouble to find, not to mention pay for, a photo for the purpose of using it as your feature image, why stop there? Get as much mileage out of the photo as possible by incorporating it into the post itself, or editing it to give it your own personal touch by adding a quote on top of it and branding it, either using your logo, your website URL, or your Twitter handle, etc. So that when you share it on social media, or if other people share it in their social media, it can also serve as a little promo for your post. Add motion to the images by transforming them into animated GIFs. I love creating my own GIFs. GIFs aren't quite videos, but they're also more than just regular images, which makes them highly impactful because with multiple graphics, text layers, and motion effects, they can convey so much more than a static image can, and it can give your content an instant lift. Thinking outside the box when it comes to image selection may take more time, and it's not always easy, but it will make your content stand out from other similar content whose feature images are just ordinary, simply because their authors couldn't be bothered going the extra mile, settling in the end for a predictable and forgettable option. Now it's time for me to share my list of cool stock photography sites and image editing tools, both premium and free. But before I do, here are a few important housekeeping notes to keep in mind about this list. Firstly, this isn't meant to be an exhaustive list of every stock photography site or image editing tool under the sun, and while I'm personally familiar with some of them, I haven't necessarily used all of these sites and tools myself, but they look cool and I've thought about maybe trying some of them at some point, so I'm happy to share them with you in case you haven't heard of them already. If you've used any of these and feel like sharing some feedback from your own personal experience, feel free to by leaving a comment below. I'd love to hear it. Secondly, none of the websites and tools I'm about to mention have paid me to mention them in this particular video, so it's not a sponsored video. I'm literally just listing them in case you're looking for new sources of stock photos and image editing tools. And finally, just a reminder that if you want links to all of the websites and tools I'm about to mention, they're all listed in the blog post I've linked to below. It's worth checking out the post because I have a feeling I'm going to continue to discover new sites or cool tools after I've posted this video. And while I can't edit this video once it's published, I definitely can and will continue to update the blog post. Okay, now that these housekeeping notes are out of the way, here's my mega list of stock photography sites and other cool tools to create great visuals and good looking websites.